All right. Good morning. We are in Siman Reish Aleph, Sif Daled, starting Sif Daled. Mikvah shehu shel goy. You have a mikvah where that a goy built. He's not kabel mimenu schar. Let's say let's say the only place the goy owns the building or something like that, and they built a mikvah in there. Kabel mimenu schar, and they rented. Ein laham in the goy alov. You can't be mamin to the goy if he's giving the hashkacha on the mikveh. You can't be mamin to him on that it's a kosher mikveh for any reason. Elim kain yesh tomi b'mikveh esim v'echad tzah. Unless whenever the mashkiach comes, it's always sure that there is 21 sa rove of the mikveh. Because then any other water that gets in, we go basarov, any other water goes in, it becomes part of the mikvah, and that's okay. Now, obviously, nowadays when they build a mikvah, that's not so nagea because there's 3 poros and this and a whole bunch of different things. And also, much of the thing a lot of the things we're talking about over here, since there are three, usually one, sometimes two, three. Usually nowadays they do three boros. There is the bor of the bor of people of Toivelin. Fine. There's a bor hashaka, and there's a bor. We'll get to hashaka much later, and then there's a bor zriya, right? Now there's usually one. When they build a mikvah, there's one bor. There's one mikvah of whatever much by himself. Which that's where the rainwater comes in, and that's where most of these dinim come. From that, or there's something from that we have the bor zriya. Also they put also there has to be also with rainwater, but the bor tvila is not. So we're talking about over here the main it would be if they have one bor or the main bor of the main mikvah, which comes from rainwater, et cetera. So that's that's usually if it would be in the binyan of a goy, he wouldn't they close it up, whatever it is. But al kapanim, if something happened, the goy is not neman because he gets schar from it, so it's worth it for him to go ahead and to say, yeah, of course it's kosher. Kosher. So why does Esrim work? Since Rov is kosher, Sveiko Lakula. Then once the Rov is kosher, then anything else beyond that is Shashas Durabanan. The Sveiko Lakula, Mikvah Shahaisa Chasera Lefanenu. Let's say it was chaser, and you come back, it's full. Right? You don't have no idea who filled up this mikvah. You go to Toivel some keli, right? And it was chaser, right? Chaser yesterday, and you come back, it's full. No idea. Right? This is diving to the din of you found shachot meat, meat which was that was a cow which was shechted. So the question, can we rely on that or not? On that. You have no idea who filled it. So here, if there was already rove, so then it's a bitul berov is kosher b'deraisa. So therefore, azlin lakula. Ilohaya ruba behechsher the aksha because sveka deraisa. There wasn't rove. Now it's a sveka deraisa of who put the water in. If there's a chash that goyim would have gone ahead and put water in to go ahead and swim or bathe themselves, something like that, then it's psula. If not, then why why would nowadays especially why would a goy go ahead and fill up? I say it's a keli make Bechlal, why would they do that? So then we can assume that a Jew did it. Listen, we don't know. We'll see. There's plenty of options. I don't know however. There's many options. But the question is, you have no idea. So can you rely on that? So the thing is, we can assume that if someone's going to fill up a mikvah, say mikvah tahara, mikvah for women, mikvah, whatever, that they're going to do it properly. Why is someone playing games? It's not. Why even go through the trouble? Yeah, that's what she's the Roman Tzuyin Eitzel Mikvah. You're not going to have some guy, how many people learn Hilchos Mikvaos? You're going to start walking in and start filling the mikvah. Some doesn't know the halachos. If they don't care about it, they don't care about it. Why are they playing around? And definitely they filled it behechsher. But kol shekenim yisrael lefanenu. If the guy is there, say the mikveh guy is there, I don't know. V'omer shebehechsher mila yisam neman. He is neman. Because since he could just fix it right now, he has a certain nemanus of biyado. He can just do it right now. If it's biyado l'tachna, then eight echad, in that case, eight echad is neman b'yisurim, l'kuliyalma, kelel, sim kuf zayin, ein oil l'kaman sof asirim b'din safik sheuvin. If we don't know what sheuvin, then that's something else. We'll see about that. I mean, then you get into umdanos, and listen, this is dim by going back to Yoreh, and anytime there's the amanos of goyim, if there's reglayin l'davar that it was done properly, and there's no other whatever, all those didn't apply. Okay, Steve, hey, kol yomim yeshlen din mayan l'tayr. Like we met, like Miller mentioned yesterday, all the yamim have a din mayan l'tahir, because all the lakes, the Kinneret, all lakes have a din mayan l'tahir. Just to be toivel in the lake, we saw Alkut Tariches is a whole different issue, because maybe she's afraid, you have to put up a mechitza, and especially if let's say there's an undertow, which unfortunately there are lakes which have strong undertows, and if she's nervous about that, it's really not a chachila, it's really, could be even a shaila. But al kupanim, kol yami yesha and dim mayan l'tahir b'zechila. Right, even though the Kinneret is zeichlim, right, because the water comes in from the north and it goes out from the south, and it is zeichlim, right? The water is, so alfal pikin it's kosher. Hilkach gal shenitlash mehayam, or let's say you're by the yam and a wave comes. This often happens if there's like a rock barrier or things or whatever. You're getting towards high tide, let's say by the ocean, and there's waves. I've seen it happen. I was with a friend once, and we're standing on a by boardwalk or something like that, and a wave hit, flew up and drenched him. So gal shenitlash me'ayam ubo arba'im sa, and there's a ba'im sa in the water, which I don't know how you know that, but there's a lot of water. I guess you could tell it's definitely arba'im sa. The nafal al ha'adam, and it fell on a person. Oh, al kalim, and you saw it falling. You quickly put your kalim there. Also, tvila. Then the tvila works, and this is gal shenditlash. We're talking about where it's not connected. If it's still connected to the sea, then there's no question. Here we're talking about it flew up. There's a big thing of water that splashed up and it's not connected anymore. But let's say you threw it up let's say he jumped up off the ground into the over. Even though there is arba'im sa shazara kelim b'msir gal, or he threw kelim into the gal, shu also kikipa, that it makes an arch. Lo also lahen tvila. Tvila doesn't work. Because in the air it says the person has to be standing on the ground, like any other mikvos. The mikvah is in the ground, not in the air. Sivav.
In other words, here the sun is not in the water itself, the sun is in the person.
The person. Well, the water has to be touching the ground. Put it that way. It has to be, like I said, it fell on the person, so he has to wait. He has to wait until the water's touching the ground, and he's in a big stream of water.
Completely at one moment, completely covered by the water.
Water and it's touching the ground.
Back to the ground.
Yeah, it's touching.
It's not exactly nitlash anymore.
Right. It's touching the ground. When it falls on, it's touching the ground. At that second, the tefillah is good. we'll get later on to waterfalls and things. That's we'll get into later
So
on.
the 40 saw in the air is not a mikvah.
Right, right. But once it splashes down and it's touching the ground, and he's standing under it, then that's okay. Um, Vav. I mean, Huadin, probably if he's he stands in a geyser, it'd probably be okay also. Although it's boiling hot, so it could be not. We'll see about this other water with maybe batsim and then smelly water and stuff, which is not. But anyway,
He has a jetpack on. He's hovering in the middle of the air, and this column of water passes through.
no, so that won't work.
He's not touching the ground.
It's not, or the mikvah's not touching it. Listen. I don't think he has.
He has to touch the ground, and the water has to touch.
Both. I think both. I think it's both. Again, you get into shilas about how he has water under his feet. All these other issues of chetzitzas. Yeah, okay. I'm saying these, but b'rayon, this is the din. Vav tzarich shelo yehu arbaim sa shel mikvah b'soch hakli she'ein toilin b'kelim. L'chachila. It should not be arbaim. You should not. Tzarich shelo yehu arbaim sa. The arbaim sa shel mikvah should not be within a kli. She'ein toilin b'kelim. Let's say you went ahead and you had a big the big tub. Well, I think it's a bathtub, but let's say you had barrel. Yeah, you have a big barrel. You have a big whatever, and you stuck it into the ground. You dug it into the ground, partially into the ground. And you did all the other rainwater, everything gavaldik. It doesn't work. Because ain't toivlin toch kli, and some say it's a din deraisa. Ain't toivlin toch kli, and the kli's in the ground. We're not. It's going to be. It's not gonna work. We're getting to how you mevatel it to the ground, how you do it. But this first sif is talking about where you had just had a kli, which is just sitting on the ground, even if you dug a hole and you stuck it inside somewhat. Zayin alokeach kli gadol. You take a large kli chavis gedola, like a large barrel of some sort, a reva gedola, or a large bowl or whatever, v'nakvu nekev hametaro, and then you went ahead and knocked a hole into the bottom, which is matarit, which is mavatal the shem kli. Yesh oimim to be a nekev shfer sanod. Some say you need at least a shfer sanod, because by kli they say if it's for water, that didn't kalim. If it's for water, then it's yotzei v'nichnas of water. It depends what it's for. The highest shear to mavatal the kli, if you could carry pomegranates, is yotzei rimon, that has to be, you knock a hole in like this, which I think we're machmer for. Here, not more than shfer sanod. Then it might be, depends on if it's a usable kli beforehand. But al kol panim, shfer sanod is enough. A kavu ba'aretz, and then you are koveh in the ground. But so mikvah raise a kosher, because now it's not a kli, and now you stuck it into the ground. Then it's going to be kosher. And let's say, or if you attach it to the ground, you put the cement, you cemented it to the ground. All these things that's going to be kosher. Even if you close the nekev up with sid, like not anything permanent. Yeah, ubabinyan, ain't poisel. That doesn't parcel it. That's how you put it when you stuck it in the ground. It closes the hole of it. Right now, it doesn't drain. Right, that doesn't make a difference. That's fine. But mayim on the kavim, but seichel mikvah kosher. Right. No, but I'm saying after you put it in the ground, even if betoch a binyan, right? Even if the binyan, the way you built it in, is gonna block the hole, that doesn't make a difference. Sasva b'sid or begofsis, if you plugged it up fairly well, adayin who poisel is a mikvah, then it still passes the mikvah achikavena ba'aretz, until you're kovea in the ground, or yivne, or you make it into a binyan. You build it into the building. Ve'im holicha agabe haaretz al gabe hasid umirach petit min atzadin reizer kosher. And if you went ahead and you put it, you put it in the, you dragged it on the ground, and so therefore, let's say it was muddy, whatever, and it got stuck in, and you went ahead and you put cement, you cemented it to the ground all around, then that will raise the kosher. So, for example, I was discussing with someone before about a bathtub. Let's say the bathtub has a shear. Right? So they build the bathtub in the ceramic store, whatever it is, but there's a big drain hole in the bottom. So the chora, if you go and you take that and you convey it into the binyan, into the house, cement it around and everything like that, then it's very shaykh. It could be a good mikvah. I know there's an interesting sefer. I don't remember. There's a Rev in Chicago from like 100 years ago who wrote he tried to find a way to metaher, to say that women could use, because women were going to the mikvah, so he tried finding a way to go ahead and he had the whole plans of the whole plumbing system of Chicago. We'll get into that also. It was Chicago. I think the sefer was written by someone from Chicago, but I have to look at the and he had the whole plans of the whole plumbing system of the whole whatever. Get into the plumbing, but he was saying that there could be tovel. He was trying to be matter b'di'evid, that woman could she could do tevila in the bathtub, but a bathtub would be okay as a mikveh. If it's the shear, and not lemaisa, it wouldn't be. But let's say someone would find a way to use it, and it's a big enough bathtub, and he would open the ceiling, and he would have the proper way to do it. There's a tzaddik could be it's okay. Mutter laseiso al hagag. You're allowed to go ahead and make a what's it called? Make a mikvah on the roof. Like the Gemara brings like Beis Parva, the Kohen Gadol used to be toivel in the Beis Hamikdash, and it was on the roof. The mikvah was on the roof. Uvad shlo yehei toch kli, as long as it's not inside a kli, or even achas, or it's one big evan shechakuku l'sof kavod. That they went ahead and like I said, like a bathtub. Let's say they dug out the evan, and they took the big stone. Now it's usable as a kli, and then they were kovei. Because there's a din of chakul l'sof kavod is possible. That still has there's a lot of machlokes in the Gemara, different dinim. Klapi mikvos, it's possible. If it's kavod l'sof pakako, there's a bunch of poskim in the Yehuda and Chasam Sofer, the machlokes about whether that would be kosher. If you went ahead and you took a kli, and then you went ahead and you like dug it out. So then there's a machlokes whether you should be machmer or not. The Chasam Sofer says that's Torah Yisrael, and you shouldn't be meichad. It's a minig Yisrael to go ahead and do mikvahs that way, and therefore you shouldn't be meichad on anyone who does it that way. I think the Yehuda was machmer. It's a machlokes nowadays. Like lemaisa, I think we're making like the Chasam Sofer. That if you went ahead and you had something talush, and then you dug it out.
You had a block of wood, a block of.
Yeah, let's say you had a big block of wood, and you attached it to the wall. Not tochabin, you attached it to the wall, and then you dug it, and then you dug it out. So if it's toch binyan, it's fine. But you didn't do a toch binyan. You just stuck it on the wall, right? So then you dug it out. So the yesh machmirim. I think we're mako. I think we're mako. But again, that's not how they do it nowadays. There's a discussion about whether, let's say when they pour the cement, let's say you'd be able to go ahead and remove the cement, outer. Let's say you'd be able to remove it in one shot and it would be like a thick kli, they make on that also. But that's not the derech, that's derech binyan. But if you go ahead and you build, it's not one big Evan, you built a whole mikvah out of avanim, or you use cement. That would be fine. It says in Shiloh by the Mizbeach, Taisa says that they used to in Bayis and by Shane that they used miavanim. He says they used gravel, they used whatever, and then they went ahead and the Gemara says and they used some sort of cement to harden it. So it has to be, that's Evan. That's a bunch of avanim together. It doesn't have to be like big stones. That's also nechta as a cement is kosher. So even if he did it on the roof, and he did it, and he took a mold and he made it out of cement, that would be okay. That's not considered one. That's not considered one. Not considered one Evan. Let's see, and then the Mayan Tches Mayan shemekaleach toch kli posel litvol, the Mayan that flows into a kli, like through a kli, posel litvol, you can't be tovel in that kli. Bein Mayan shebesoich hakli, bein la'achar sheyotzu min hakli. Whether, because once it goes into, this is a whole landash, there's a lot of pshatim on this. Once it goes into the kli and then comes out, it's nifsak, it comes Sheuvin, and it's masik the Mayan. Anything else after that is considered Sheuvin. Mayan mikaleach al sfas hakli, but if the Mayan goes from the outside, it also flows from the outside, and it also goes into the kli. Also, you can't tovel in the kli. Litvol v'chutzalo mutter, and anything outside of it, you can be tovel in. I feel imamayim shebesoicha merubim, as long as there is no hafsaka, it's not the mayan wasn't nifsak, it's considered attached to the mayan, and you can still be tovel in that mayan. The Bach is an interesting pshat. He understands v'chutzakli that it means if it's going up above the sides of the kli, it's above it like this. You can be tovel in that. The shach's doichin, so that's up pshat. It means it goes around to the side. I think Reb Chaim Brisker says the pshat is mechutza doesn't mean the side. It means afterwards. I don't remember. It's a whole thing. But the pshat with the mayan, as long as the mayan's attached, it's never nifsak unless it goes through a kli. Then it's nefshav shuvim, and it's nefshav kiyul, just the water, just like you got the faucet on and just pouring it out, and then that would be possible to be toivel.